Welcome to a beautifully intense Sagittarius new moon coming up for all of us on the 30th of November. It's on a star, Antares, a royal Persian star that can bring great success, worldly success, and it's on a Sabian symbol that is a golden hair goddess of opportunity. So I do like a lot of things about this particular lunation. However, it's also a star associated with war and victory in war, and we'll be bringing that into some of the world astrology in the beginning of our video today. We also have a couple of other cool elements in play. One is the asteroid Urania, Urania, exactly conjunct this particular new moon. And the new moon is forming a T-square to Saturn and Jupiter, activating things that happen in our world in the month of August, particularly the middle of August. And we'll be bringing that up not only for your life, but also things that have happened in our world in the middle of August and how they may be coming back again for a reassessment or redo off this new moon. New moons are new beginnings. Something new is starting, something fresh is beginning in the 9-degree Sagittarius part of your sky. So obviously you Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising are having your yearly new beginning. All of the fire signs, the Aries and Leos, just get to roll off of it and go with it and really love it. The angular signs, Gemini across the way, and Virgo and Pisces, angular, are going to also feel it very intensely. Now, for the most part, with the Sabian symbol, with the asteroid Urania and Eros for passion, there is a lot I really like about this moon. I find with its flow to the north and south node of fate, forming a general wedge formation, it also says positive destined things wish to happen. Without getting into all the weeds of it, I really think this is going to be a major turning point in wars in the world, particularly in the Middle East. And we'll talk about why. Now, I do both mundane astrology, which means world events, and I also talk about personal astrology, your sign. The personal astrology section is going to be in the second half of this video. However, I have timestamps in the comments and in the description box below the video where you can jump ahead to your sign, and you don't have to listen to the beginning if you don't want to, but I suggest you do, because the asteroid Urania and Eros are connected very strongly to what's happening in the sky. Also in attendance is a Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, which has a few things to say about what this lunation is up to. Now, if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I am using the Western Tropical Zodiac and the whole sign house system. I love fixed stars and minor asteroids, which is why we are talking about the minor asteroids, Urania, a muse, one of the Greek muses. And we're also talking about Eros, which is erotic, but also life force energy, that asteroid. And we're also talking about Antares, the royal Persian star, connected to the archangel Uriel, who happens to be seated right on top of this moon. In other words, the moon is happening with that star, that red star right behind it. And it is a new moon. It is a dark moon. All right. So one thing I want to mention here before we get going, this is general bell curve astrology. Sometimes in my comments, I get frustrated. I get people saying, I didn't get the chunky money. I didn't get an inheritance or, whatever. Hello, guys. Your astrology is personal to your chart. It's like your fingerprint almost, your iris. I mean, it's your specific natal imprint. And yes, of course, your twin brother or sister born in the same place at the same time, or any babies born in the hospital when you were born, when we look for your rising sign, we'll have the same chart. But there's a lot of complexity in astrology. And when we do astrology on YouTube, we're just giving you like all Aries, all Taurus, all, you can't expect for it to be cookie cutter. You can't imagine that every Aries is going to win the lottery, right? So please use some common sense and use this as a guiding navigational tool to time your best life. It's about general weather patterns in the sky for your sign. Now, given that I'm talking about your sign, why don't you think about listening for your sun as career and purpose matters, and think of it as the soul of you, the actress who plays the role, or the game player who gets into the simulation. Think of your rising sign as the character you play. It is you in the simulation. It is your avatar. It is the role you're playing in the movie script. I laugh at how many Leos have beards, and big manes of hair. Donald Trump, big mane of hair. J.D. Vance, a beard. They're playing the role of the lion, a big moon face for the Cancers. You can often see skinny and lean people are often, Aquarius or Capricorn rising because they're ruled by Saturn. So we play a kind of role in our character of our life through the ascendant, the lens of the ascendant, which is your rising sign. It pertains to you being born, coming out of your mom, taking a breath, someone checking the time against the eastern horizon. You don't know how to cast your chart. You don't know your rising sign. I have a free tutorial in my description box. Scroll down to my freebies, how to cast your chart in whole sign houses, and that also allows you to find your rising sign. And we are using whole sign houses here. If you have a Placidus chart, it may not make sense. So just consider that the whole sign lens is how all astrologers can do general delineations here on YouTube. And it is the ancient tool and technique. Finally, your moon, it can be your mind-body complex, how you feel and think about what's happening in your life. It's more of your comportment emotionally and mentally about reality, but it can also be symbolic of one's home and matters connected to home, property, nest, real estate, domicile, domestic life. Okay. All right. So we'll listen to all three, see which fits for you the best. My sun and my rising fit me the best every time. Both have meanings that are accurate when I listen to my own astrology about myself or through other astrologers. Before we get going to talk about this glorious moon, I have a short promotion, and I just do it because I love their joy. Now, I'm not kidding you guys. It's like I am an affiliate. All right. I get a little bit of money when you buy some, but it's not a lot. It's that they approached me, and this is Otter Spirit, and I just love that all of their collections are, you can go for the zodiacal collection. And this is so cool. Labradorite, clear quartz, and hematite. And this is amazing because it was made for Aquariuses. All right. That's what it was. It's Aquarius trio. And this is also another one. I have moonstone, and amethyst. And I have to share, when you get them, I mean, I'm not kidding. Go check Otter Spirit in my description box below. They also have a charity around helping otters. They give you a beautiful box, a beautiful felt thingy that you can give it in. Great for gift giving. But listen to the little cards they give you. It's just like blows me away. It cheers me up, actually. I'm not kidding you. See the hematite, clear quartz. And what I'm going to say is, like hematite, I remain unshaken during challenging times. And it's for the Aries, Scorpio, Capricorn, Leo folk. Or clear quartz, I'm surrounded by boundless energy. And it's for, all zodiac signs. We all need to be surrounded by boundless energy. And labradorite, which I used to have a beautiful pendant with that stuff, very shamanic stone, is for Pisces, Sag, Aquarius, Scorpio. I am the change I want to see in the world. But, I may remain unshaken during challenging times. Hematite. This just arrived in my mailbox a few days ago. And after the election and after the fallout from you guys, and all after the giant sub dump, because you guys left my channel because I called it, I said, that I thought Harris had a stronger chart, although I had, before Biden stepped down, had chosen Donald Trump as the winner. There's a lot of angry people out there, but don't take it on the messenger. This messenger has been right and wrong, right? I got the Trump assassination attempt of the week. I got the thing about the walls, Biden stepping down, predicted that months before he did, out of the election cycle. So, we can, if I was 100% correct and perfect, I'd be probably hired by people who want me to do betting odds. You know what I mean? I'd be hired for like people making massive bets, and I'd be like making it oodles of money, or I'd be doing that betting myself. So keep it in mind. I just saw Penny Thornton come out and give her like mea culpa. She's a beautiful British astrologer, Aries like me. And, the vast majority of Western astrologers got it wrong, which made me reflect that I think sidereal astrology is more true to political skies. And it might be in the future that I'm going to focus a lot more on sidereal or Vedic astrology for my tools of prediction around world events that involve politics. We shall see. I know enough astrology to get by on Vedic astrology, and I'll probably learn a lot more. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this moon. One thing I want to say is that even though I find this star very, very intense and powerful, Antares, it's because it's on my midheaven. I have a midheaven at 9 degrees of Sag. I also find it very useful because it is a star that has driven my career all of my life and my various careers that I have aspired to, from a psychic reader to a journalist to a magazine editor and senior editors at magazines, etc., online and in the real world, in the old digital print and the non-digital print era. And I want to read to you about this star because this star is at 9 degrees and 40 minutes of the sign of Sagittarius in our current sky. Stars will rotate about 72 years a degree. They're not moving. The earth is wobbling, and it's called the precession of the equinoxes. So I'm going to read about the star because I want you to get the idea of it. This star is sitting at 9 Sagittarius. If you don't have a planet within a couple of degrees of that or an angle, it is not a star that's active in your sky. Okay, so keep that in mind. But it is active in some people's skies. It isn't pretty active. It's pretty close to the 12-degree Sagittarius ascendant of the United States of America in its natal Sibley chart. But it's also pretty darn active, and otter spirits in my description box below. It's also pretty darn active in Benjamin Netanyahu's chart. He is, depending on which time you use, but the time I use for astroseek.com has him with a ascendant basically at 9 degrees of Sagittarius, right on top of the star. And it is a star known for war. So let's keep that in mind. Ironically, the armorer of the gods who made the weapons for Zeus, his name is Hephaestus. That asteroid is sitting on the midheaven of Netanyahu at birth. He's got a 26-degree Virgo midheaven in his 10th house. And that literally, not 10th house. Anyway, he's got a midheaven up there. No, not 10th house. He can't. It's a Sag rising. Yeah, Virgo. So, blah. So he's definitely like, let me throw some iron swords your way. But listen to this star, because this star is Antares, means the rival of Mars. So Mars is the god of war. We all know Aries, Mars, the god of war. We give him all the blame for the wars of the world because he's our number one god for starting war. But this is the rival of Mars, and it's a new beginning, and it could indicate a fresh start in the United States. Ascendant is there, a fresh start for Israel because Netanyahu's ascendant is there. And we can only hope, right? Because we also have the moon we just had, the Scorpio. What was the degree of that moon? Oh, brain come back online. 24-degree Taurus, full moon that we just had November 15th is also on the sun of Israel. So there's a full light, a volume up on the nation of Israel's sun. Something wants to change there. Something wants to happen there. So we'll see. Now, this is one of my favorite books. It's called The Living Stars by Dr. Eric Morse. And I want to describe what he has to say about this star. He's a classic, old school, really did the deep research into each of the stars and what their lore is about. So it is the prime star of Antares. It's called the heart of the scorpion. Antares is the scorpion in the sky. That's because this star is at 16 degrees of Scorpio in the real sky. We have a symbolic sky in Western tropical zodiac. It's not the actual sky. It literally is a cycle of a sky based on pinning Aries 0 to the vernal equinox. It's a metaphoric, symbolic sky, but it works. Go figure. So it's the heart of the scorpion. It's a red giant. It's a rival of Mars because it's so bright that it's as bright or brighter than Mars in our sky. Keep that in mind. And he says, is connected to Archangel Uriel. It's one of the 4 royal Persian stars. It means kind of like they're pinning the heavens together. They're navigational stars in the old days. And Uriel, by the way, was the angel that had the knowledge of the great disaster that caused the flood, the secret knowledge of the great disaster that caused the flood. And funny enough, Uriel would have been modern day close to the city of Ur, which is close to modern day Baghdad, where Abraham went, and Abraham apparently built the city of Ur. Ptolemy classifies this as a Mars Jupiter. So Mars is war, Jupiter is expansion or opportunity or success in war. And here's what he has to say. What does tend to show up when these 2 stars, Aldebaran, which is across the way in Gemini, around 7 or 8 degrees, 9 degrees of Gemini, maybe at 10 by now. Okay, Aldebaran is the eye of the bull, the Taurus constellation, but it's also a war star. It's Archangel Michael, the host of heaven and flaming swords abroad, right? So what he says here is what happens when these 2 stars, he's talking about the stars of Antares and Aldebaran, they're polar opposite each other. When these stars are engaged in a horoscope of a conflict, either the starting date of the war or the natal charts of the leaders of the war, and this is, of course, the natal chart of the leader of the war in the Middle East is Netanyahu. So yes, we've got Antares on his ascendant. This is what he says, and it's on the ascendant in the United States, but that's not a person. The leader of a war is that peace rarely ensues before the total and crushing defeat of one side or the other. And it is war that escalates to huge proportions, even to a world scale, as aggressive Mars in precedence over expansive Jupiter would imply, the nature of Mars and Jupiter. The good side of this star is energy and optimism to undertake ventures that others could not attempt. Now, do you have energy and optimism to get something going that include fleeting fame and worldly success, according to one of my other handy books? Okay. Do you have any kind of desire for some worldly success, prosperity? Here's some of the reasons why. It's a royal watcher star, Mesopotamia. It was lord of the seed. It's also known as a creator of prosperity in Egypt. It is about military power, strategy and courage, glory, power, fleeting wealth and honors. Now, it can be death from weapons of war and machinery, and also is connected to poisons, powerful passions, and obsessions. Of course, it's Scorpio, right? This tail of Scorpio is there as well. And this is not the tail. The tail is around, I think, 23 degrees of Sagittarius in our modern Western tropical zodiac. This is 9 degrees of the heart of the Scorpion. So, but you can have some worldly success, and you can have some prosperity, and you can have some efforts that give you really good results. And I also add to that on the Sabian symbol, a golden hair goddess of opportunity. Cannot get any better. Keyword reward, stepping stones, good fortune, luck, reward, benefit, protection, prosperity, compensation, restitution, and reimbursement. I'm not going to read any more other than to say I do like a lot of stuff for each of us individually about the star. We'll be showing you the sky, looking at the T-square to Saturn and Jupiter. I'll also note why the retrograde positions of Jupiter and the retrograde position of Mercury means this is also a moon that's talking about things in August and things that will happen at the end of December. We will connect those dots. So if you're new, don't forget, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. By the time you're watching this, my pre-sale has ended for my 2025 All Signs Bundle and individual horoscopes. Those are still for sale down below at the regular price. So you can still grab them if you want. You'll be delivered them immediately. Well, the pre-sale people were waiting for delivery on the 17th of October, the day you're watching this video. Okay, so let's get going. Or the day I released the video. Anyway, on this Scorpio, Sagittarius, new beginning, new moon. All new moons can take up to 2 weeks after. You'll see evidence of what the moon is for. Like, oh, this is a moon that's about this kind of thing in the world. And then flip it down to 6 months later when the moon is full and it continues to expand what the seed is that's being planted in the world and in each of our lives as well. All right. So let's get going and bring the sky up so you can see what exactly that I'm talking about. And then we'll do your sign. I promise. I really do. Just before we start, check out my description box below because my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter is something you can join, or my Patreon community. And I always forget to remind people of that. I'll be having a few specials coming up, especially for my Patreon community. So get ready for that. I'm creating a new tier, the Inner Lunar Circle in Patreon. And that's going to be a much more intimate community within my tiers of Patreon. That's coming out, launching that in December. All right. So I'm so excited by that because my Patreon community is where I have communion, I kid you not, with astrologically curious and wiser people who are not just looking at astrology to tell them what to do. Oh my God. All right, so let's get going. Astrology is just a guiding tool, guys. It's not like, it's not your like inner knowing, right? All right, here's the sky. Oh my gosh. And I just like, my throat is almost like I've been hoarse because I've been doing a lot of recording lately. So bear with me if I sound like a frog today. Here's the thing I want you to see. This is the sky. It looks so darn busy. I apologize for that. I'm going to start taking stuff out that you don't need to see. Before I do, I want to remind you what I just said in case you don't believe me. Let's grab good old Israel leader guy over here. That's his sky, just in case you want to know. You see how his ascendant is at 6 degrees and 58 minutes at 7 degrees of Sag. Based on this particular time, I had another time before it had it at 13. Doesn't really matter. He's got an ascendant, as does Joe Biden. I think his ascendant is 3 Sag, as does the United States of America, 12 Sag, there's a lot of people that are in this part of the chart or entities. And you can see that he definitely has a wound, a chironic wound to his identity. We don't know what it is. Maybe he doesn't like himself or something, or maybe he has some wound about who he really is. Is there Antares at 9 degrees? There's Venus in front of that. He thinks he's good looking. That's the meaning of that. Likes his looks. He likes his looks. People might think he's facially attractive. He can be persuasive, charismatic, and charming. But also you'll notice that in his sky, you'll see the sky, he has the Saturn midheaven, where I didn't draw the asteroid in, but the armor of the gods is up there. It indicates that he's basically someone who likes to throw around what do you call iron swords. And the energy of the balsamic moon surprises me. Balsamic moon people are old souls. They're kind of like wiser than their years. They've been around the block, but he does have South Node Neptune stories, and there is a propensity for some kind of fanaticism that can happen with Neptune. South Node are a spiritual or karmic, fanatic energy. Neptune is like an delusion, but it's also a don't drink the Kool-Aid guru. It could be about enlightenment can be there. Wanting justice, it's all about justice. And yeah, so I don't have to talk too much more about that. It doesn't interest me today, but I also wanted to point you out show you why I think a new moon on Antares will make major changes with the conflict in the Middle East, and it won't be invisible. You'll probably see evidence of it in the 2 weeks that follow. Now, remember I said in the beginning that there are things about this particular moon that are going to be relevant or germane to what happened in the middle of August. Let me show you the chart to explain why. And it's pretty simple. And let's get rid of the midheaven, because the date does not matter. Okay, boom, boom, bye. All right, here we go. Basically, back in August, starting the beginning of August, actually around the 3rd, but more interestingly, acute or exact between August the 16th and 23rd, Jupiter, around August 16th to the 23rd, but all of August, but 16th to the 23rd, Jupiter was doing something in our sky. What was Jupiter doing around that time? When he was at 17 degrees of Gemini between August 16th and the 23rd. What was he doing? Because it matters. He's retrograde since October the 9th. And as he ends up in a square formation to Saturn, now direct as of November 15th, and opposition to the moon at 9, almost 10 degrees of the sign of Aries, we have a T-square. And it's not easy to see, but trust me, it is right here. And that is always a tension angle that asks for change, decisions, and actions. And it's always a bit gritty. Now, what happened in August was the DNC. Was Harris taking, up the charge and becoming the official nominee, or having been nominated, or, promoted. And now it was just a big convention where everybody was speaking. She also chose her vice president, Tim Walz, in that same time frame, I believe. So there was a lot of politics going on in the United States of America connected to that, but also Donald Trump. It was on the 15th or so that it was reported that he had a phone call with Netanyahu. The phone call was on the 15th, I believe, of August, and it indicated that he had talked to him about taking a ceasefire deal that was coming up or was on the table. No one knows for sure what they talked about. So the point is that if Donald Trump did talk with Netanyahu, which he apparently was reported to have done around the middle of August, when Jupiter, the god of justice, was sitting at 17 degrees of Gemini. And don't forget, Trump is a Gemini North Node, Gemini Sun. When this was happening back then, it can indicate a return to the same conversation, part 2, as he is a president-elect reaching out to a world leader. Look for reports between a conversation coming up between Netanyahu and Donald Trump, most likely occurring anytime around the moon. I would say November the 30th. I give it a day before and up to 2 weeks after. Now, what else is going to recapitulate is the future. Why? Because in the future, Mercury, who is sitting in the sky attending this moon, like he's like, oh yeah, here I am in the same house as the moon. He's on an asteroid called Huya, Huya. I will tell you about that in a minute. Mercury, the messenger of the gods, the one who has the news cycle all up his sleeve, isn't really good at the details. He's promotional, he's motivational, he's, I have a dream, go big or go home. He's acting like Jupiter. He's not really Jupiter. Good thing that Jupiter and the two of them are in a reception called a mutual reception. They're house sitting each other's house, and they have a hotline to each other. This is good news. However, Mercury is not very capable of details in the sign of Sagittarius. And in that regard, in a broad square to Neptune, there is a lot of confabulation, confusion, and misinformation in the air as this moon is happening. Mercury is going to, on December 31st or so, head back into the same degree as he is on this moon, because he's going direct at the end of December. You will see events, the last part of December, connected to this new beginning, this new moon. But with Mercury in direct motion, things are going to be moving forward. What it is about, I don't know. If I was making an example, Trump calls Netanyahu and they have a conversation. And then after December 31st, when Mercury goes direct, then another step in that story takes place. It would be connections to these things. Mercury retrograde is always about when one changes one's mind, changes one's direction of thought, when you have a change of idea, a change of plans. And in Sagittarius, of course, coming close to Mercury being up here close to that Thanksgiving holiday in the United States, I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing retrograde Mercury in a sign of air travel, problems with traffic, airports, maybe cyber attacks, maybe power outages, something not so great about that. That's just an obvious thing that Mercury retrograde close to Thanksgiving in the United States might be up to. The moon is after that. I'm giving you that, but I'm just saying Mercury's up there. Also, this is the asteroid Urania, and this is the asteroid Eros. Eros is like the son of Venus. It's about, it could be art and creativity, like the forged myth of the gods in the kiln. You're doing what you want, making stuff, making weapons if you need to. Eros is the son of Venus. So sorry, apologize. That's the husband. Eros is the son of Venus. And you're like, where is your life force energy? Where is your passion? What turns you on in life? What gives you a desire to get out of bed in the morning and jump for joy? I mean, Eros is the opposite of Thanatos. Thanatos is the death urge. And this is the opposite. This is the life urge. So there's there's a golden haired goddess of opportunity on the Sabian. And then we add the energy of, wow, let's have some life force rejuvenation. That would be nice. And then what else do we have? We have the asteroid Urania, one of the Greek muses. Now, I'm going to give you a clue. Even though Urania is the muse of astronomy and astrology, as well as dance and poetry, I'll read that to you in a minute. I have a feeling about the UFO alien story. I'm coming out with a video just about that for December because I am an abductee. I knew Brian Mack. What's his name? John Mack. Oh my God, my brain, abduction. I met him. I spent time with him. We had phone conversations for a few years on and off. I was a part of a small group of his that was looking into the whole story of alien abductions and people that had experiences. I am an experiencer. He called him an experiencer. I've also seen real UFOs twice with my eyeballs in the sky with multiple witnesses. And though they were not like stealth craft by the United States government, trust me, they did all the movements so you're not supposed to see, right? Zigzags and stuff like that. But the gist of what I really want to get at here, honestly, is that Urania is Urania, astronomy, not just astrology, the muse of. And I think we're going to find some more things going on with Jupiter, with Uranus next year moving into Gemini, when we have Pluto in Aquarius. I fully expect more disclosure stories to be breaking. The governments know about these downcrafts, that maybe there have been indeed non-human bodies that have been captured or experimented on or checked out or even talked to. I think we're going to see a resurgence of the era of communion with Whitley Strieber and all of that. We're going to come back to the place we were before. The truth is out there, the X-Files. This is where we're going. And this Urania moon is indicating to me that the astronomical part of our life is going to have a story. And we might find ourselves very easily with Mercury up there getting misinformation, Mercury, Neptune, baked into this, where yes, now we're hearing congressional stories. What do you call it? Like the David Grush in front of Congress and stuff. A lot of this congressional testimony, but some of it obfuscated. Some of them maybe like, what do you call it? Not false flags, but leaking information to the public slowly, but maybe with some misinformation about what's real and true, that kind of thing. So we'll see. I know that remote viewers probably are going to be tuning into this in the next couple of years, because I really think that we won't get more than 24 to 30 to 48, 24 months from now. At the very latest, we will know a whole lot more about our human origins, about other species besides humans that may or may not be from this planet, that are intelligent, that are technologically capable. And I think this is the lunation that is hearkening to the beginning of that story. All right. Now, one thing I'll say about the T-square, and I'll read Urania to you as well, just about a muse, I'll read the asteroid in a sec. This is like what has to be break through. Anytime a T-square happens, it's tension in the sky, but it's connected to the peak planet, Saturn. What do we have to have in our lives, in the world and individually, that brings solid stability and form to places of the Pisces reality? This is shorelines. This is strips of land that are decimated on the edge of a Mediterranean Sea. This is displaced people. This is homeless. This is border crisis and conflicts over refugees and or illegal migration. These are stories that this moon is going to try to resolve with stable and form-like structures, like laws. Why do I say laws? Jupiter is the lawgiver. He will want to give you new structures and new legislation connected to immigration, boundaries, borders, hardship on shorelines, the underserved, the underprivileged, welfare, homelessness, all of that stuff. And we're going to see those areas of life come into legislative action in different countries in the world. Certainly the United States as a Sag rising, no doubt about it, over the course of the next 6 months after the moon. Second of all, Saturn is in the house that was the Republican Party. The Republicans have just won the election, right? So they're not inaugurated into power yet. However, once they are in power, that means the Democratic Party will become the Pisces party in the sky of the United States natal Sibley chart. And over here in the 10th house, Virgo, is where Trump et al. Will sit. And therefore, it also indicates that things going on with the oppositional party to the party in power, at this point, it will become the Democrats, are going to be in a great deal of tension. A lot of problems will be ongoing within the party itself in the 6 months that follows the election. Now, what a hot mess of drawing. Let's clear it while I bring up two more things. I want to talk quickly about Donald Trump's chart relative to, very quickly, guys, very quickly, Tulsi Gabbard. I knew they'd get along. She's got a bunch of Aries placements, trines his sun, his ascendant, his Mars. And I said, back before Biden stepped down, when I thought Trump was going to win, I said, Tulsi Gabbard will be in his administration, if not a VP. I think she just got elected as the head of intelligence, which makes sense because she's been stalked by them. And she used to be a soldier, so it's not a bad appointment. We can see that Donald Trump is making an effort to put women into his administration and positions of power. That is a wise choice, right? So, I mean, because a female didn't make it to be the elected president, a lot of disenchanted females could be softened. And he's not also just doing it that way. Tulsi Gabbard was an ally during his election campaign. The other thing I want to note, though, is that Netanyahu can actually talk to Donald Trump and cannot talk to Joe Biden. If you want to know why, it's so simple. Netanyahu, in his chart, his sun is in Libra. Joe Biden's sun is in Scorpio. The two of them cannot really communicate or connect. Netanyahu's Libra sun is flowing to Donald Trump's Gemini sun. They can get down with a conversation. Netanyahu's got a Sag fire rising, and Trump has a fire Leo rising. The rising sign trine and the rising and the solar trines between Trump and Netanyahu versus Biden is a huge difference. It's like phenomenal. And, honestly, the only thing I can say, yeah, sure, Biden had a rising sign in Sag, which means he could talk to Trump. But Netanyahu is somebody who will be able to talk to Donald Trump and Trump to him. And maybe that's good for the world. Okay. We're going to cross our fingers. Some of us are, anti-geocide, and we want to see a change. And none of us were really convinced that the Harris administration was going to do anything different. That's for sure. That was obvious. So just keep that in mind. Now I'm going to read a little bit about the asteroids with you, and we'll get going on the next story. Anything else I'm missing? I'm just thinking about it. No. Okay. So here we get going, and we're going to do a little bit about the asteroid Urania. Okay. Because it's so close to this lunation at 9 degrees and 29 minutes, with a lunation at 9 degrees and 32 minutes when it's exact, just so you know. The asteroid Urania is the following. It is one of the 9 muses, goddess of music, song, and dance, as well as astronomy and astrology. Welcome to our alien space brothers. Daughter of Zeus, and who can say that Latin word or Greek word, mizoni, desire for precision, the urge to study a subject thoroughly, focus on more serious and important areas of life, deeper issues, interest in theory and knowledge for knowledge's sake, and an ability to extract principles after assembling the evidence. Principles after assembling the evidence. What I want to say at the end of the day, there is Eros for passion and a muse, along with the golden-haired goddess of opportunity, on a new moon in Sagittarius, on a powerful star that can bring fleeting and worldly success and prosperity and all of the good stuff we all want in the matrix of life. So we're going to go ahead and do your sign, get settled in, and I will be talking a lot in this particular story about the energy of the T-square and how it impacts you over the next 6 months. And I may also highlight the flow to the nodes of fate. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe and help my channel grow. I'm trying to reach 100,000 by the end of the year. I was kind of on track until the election misfire. Boy, oh boy, you can be loved, 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 and hated all in one swoop. And it's funny, when I said Trump was going to be like probably winning before I changed my mind when Harris was swapping out for Biden, because they both had kind of strong charts here. The Democrats hated me. And then when I sort of twisted around and said, well, like maybe Kamala is looking pretty strong here. And then the Republicans hated me. So don't hate me. I'm Canadian. I'm like, don't vote in the United States. I'm on the sidelines with my popcorn. Okay. Don't hate me. I'm just doing my best here. Thanks, guys. I forgot to mention Mercury on Huya, Huya. It's a rain god of Colombia and Venezuela. It has to do with also a seducer and a warrior energy. But the delineation on the software says really lovely delineation. And what it does say about this, because this is an asteroid that's sitting right on top of Mercury, who's retrograding next to this moon, right? So it's all kind of embedded. Basically, this was a Huya, rain god of the Indians of Venezuela and Colombia, hunter, warrior, seducer, an inhabitant of the place beyond the sun, becoming, and that's interesting because the galactic center is up there in the late degrees of Sag. I think it's, or the great attractor, I always forget which one, becoming aware of how you are feeling the toll caused by stress and anxiety. So becoming aware of how the stress and anxiety is taking a toll on you. Think about that with this new moon. How can you become aware of that and transforming your fixed negative patterns to bring about a happier outlook? All right. So it's kind of funny because I think a lot of people have been feeling stressed, to say the least, and anxiety. Okay. All right. Go check out my Pluto video, by the way. It's doing really well. It's about how your new Pluto power comes into activity on November the 19th based on your sign. Includes talking about the generation of your Pluto generation and what you might be about because of that when you were born. All right. Here we have November the 30th, and this is the moon. It's happening, as I said. It's up at the sky at 9 degrees. I'm gonna remove the detritus, okay? And that means I'm gonna take away things that are really not the most important story in this story of the moon. Venus is next door. She's in what we call aversion. I'm just gonna reduce the clutter, all right? Who else do I want to get rid of? I guess I can leave Pluto in there. Uranus is an inversion. We'll get rid of him. The other thing I didn't mention here is my concern, but anyways, too late now. Another video. Mars is going to retrograde at or 6 degrees of Leo coming up pretty soon, and he's going to be backtracking into Volcanus for can mean explosive, eruptive events, and he's going to backtrack while he comes into by January 3rd. A sign-based opposition to Pluto. So we're going to see some explosive events as this retrograde happens, and it's coming up starting December 6th, but we'll get into that when I get to early December. So that shouldn't have been there. It was for another video I was putting together. But you'll notice that even as the moon is occurring, Volcanus, which is a trans-Neptunian, just hypothetical planet, but it works, that Volcanus happens to be in a sextile to the nodes and a trine. So it could be a positive explosion, like something explosive, but it's part of the greater good, and we can heal some chironic wounds around war. Okay, that could be a hopeful moment of time. All right, let's go ahead and talk about each sign, and we'll get rolling. So first of all, Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. You might notice that you have a beautiful, amazing new beginning of some kind, where the golden-haired goddess of opportunity, the Sabian, is aligning for some success with an Antares star in your 9th house of God. Well, your 9th house can mean so many things. Success in the 6 months that follows, because you're going to go off to school, like university or college, get accepted at your favorite place, begin anew. Maybe you're going to go get a new spiritual path, a new religion, a new guru, a new spiritual teacher. Maybe you're going to get a visa or go off traveling on a foreign country trip. Even, did I say pilgrimages? They're there. I'm an Aries sun and moon. I want to get a digital nomad visa next year and go to Portugal, but I'd have to get on it sooner than later. And this new moon on November 30th can incite my initiative. This is a new beginning in the house of publications, especially book publishing, or maybe publishing a new podcast. And this is a new beginning in your faith in God. Your divine knowledge and wisdom are experiencing a glow up, and you may be more lucky. This is one of the prosperity luck houses in Indian astrology, and it could bring some significant luck and financial wellness to you in the months that follow, in the 2 weeks that follow this new moon of November 30th, and up to 6 months later. It's a new seed being planted here. Urania, the muse with Eros, says, are you music, poetry, and dance? Are you being inspired by the stars, astronomy, astrology? A lot of you know I have a book publisher waiting for me to get my book proposal ready, a book agent, for my astrology book. I finally got the name of the book and the download for what the book is about, to keep it for popular, not astrology for astrologers, and I will probably be writing it. So those are examples from an Aries sun. All right, talking to you. I just found out that Penny Thornton, and of course I know Astrolata, are also Aries suns, and Astrolata is an Aquarius rising, like I am. A lot of Aquarians in the astrological community, but I don't know how many Aries go out there. We are usually not involved. Now, one thing about the 9th house is that you could end up here with something going on to do with legal matters, courts and judges, and legislative matters, and possibly a good new beginning. Something positive happens, but just be a little bit aware of the T-square for all of these things I've talked about. Why is there this tension? What were you doing back in August, middle of August in particular, that now is going to sort of be renewed in a way, or reinvestigated in a way? And you're looking at matters to do with writing, right? The 3rd house is writing. So it was in August I talked with my book publishing potential person, or was negotiating with her, not negotiating, just talking about what I could possibly come up with for a book I did that would be popular. So this is the energy of the house of communicating, the house of writing, the house of short distance travel, the house of your sibling, one younger, the house of the neighbors and neighborhood activities. What were you doing in that area of your sky in August? Because now there's just something about this moon that says you need to resolve it and bring it into Piscean form. Piscean form with Saturn can mean that you're going to bring it into, like, this is like Saturn in the writing room, right? Closing the door, saying, hubby, don't bug me. Put the kids, down for me. I'm writing all night long. What you do in your solitude, what you do alone, what you do in your privacy of your downtime with your own self-imposed isolation. Saturn can bring form to publishing, writing opportunities and projects, to travel and visas and far off getaways, to your connection to your social media land, a third house storyline, expanding and growing and getting bigger. What were you doing in August? Because it's kind of coming back at you again. But you need to be disciplined, focused, forbearant, and perseverant as you diligently do things connected to your 12th house. And I think, for me, I'm going to do something here. I'm just going to really want to align this with the idea that all in the backdrop of this idea is make your dreams true, right? Saturn, the realist, and Neptune, the dreamer, are trying to create something for you, but you need to be alone. You need your downtime. You need your solitude. You need to get rid of your addictions and self-undoing and bad habits and patterns in order to break through to the worldly success that's possible with this golden-haired goddess of opportunity, big, beautiful new moon. Finally, just a note to file. I will probably dive a lot more into this storyline when I get to my second update video, but with Mars firing up a great deal of passion, volcanic passion in the house of creativity and entrepreneurship, also in a flow to this moon, you might find yourself, there are delays because he's about to station direct, retrograde, but you might find yourself all fired up, full of hot passion and intense perseverance, discipline, and unstoppableness. That's the opposition to Pluto when it comes to a creative project, artistic endeavor, or entrepreneurial activity in the 6 months that follow. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. So the moon is in your 8th house. I jokingly call it chunky money, but it's just unearned income. You might share the money as a shareholder in a company with your spouse or business partner. It could be a money you share with a bank as a loan or a mortgage, or money you get for like advertising revenue from YouTube or royalty income from a publisher, because you share the monies with another person. They're not just your paycheck that you get to keep and take home. This kind of is inheritances. There is an expansion up here, Taurus. There's a energy of something new that wants to start. There's a glorious golden-haired opportunity, the Sabian symbol, and it probably indicates that you're going to experience some kind of shift in your finances that's quite intense. For the star can itself, Antares, being prosperity. What kind of new prosperous story are you creating with those kinds of financial gains? You may also notice a lot of love for Mars down here, and it could indicate financial gain through the purchase or sale or move or change of home or neighborhood. Both are true. Mars down here is also activating mother figures, but also legacy wealth. People from your family of origin may be giving you a boost financially in some way. Maybe some money from up your upline is going to be available to you in the course of the 2 weeks after this moon or up to 6 months later. You have a T-square, and some things may have been going on in your month of August. If you could remember, it's a whole month really of August, but more acute around, I wrote the dates down earlier, the 16th to the 23rd, because back then Jupiter was where he is now as he faces this moon. And it's a story that has to do with your job, your earnings, and your money that you make. It has to do with things you put in your mouth, your food style. It has to do with things to do with your face, but it's also opposite. This is really a money axis, 2 and 8. Otherwise, you're looking at some kind of deep psychological issues that we're really trying to resort to healing or bringing truth and wisdom to them, especially regarding substances that you ingest, especially including chironic wound, Jupiter, Chiron addictions. So some of you guys are looking at like really turning a corner off of this moon as you look deep into the psychological venue of the 8th house to resolve any kind of addictions in your life, especially if they connect to your mother's, father's lineage or something like that. If you have alcoholics up the line, you're probably not a good candidate for consuming regular alcohol. That your granddad died of lung cancer from smoking himself to death. You got to pay attention to the family line when it comes to your addictions and how you can unhinge from them if you have them. You also, Taurus, are looking at financial changes as well to do with land, property, and real estate. Some of you may sell a property, but some of you may also have been engaged in lawsuits over property, Mars in the fourth house. And you may be looking at completions around those storylines, especially given that if you will go back to the middle of August, the god of law himself in the house of possessions, you possess land, property, home, real estate, mortgages, financing, refinancing. These are stories some Tauruses, not all, will be looking at squarely. And we like the golden opportunity energy. So there's something new that wants to happen that feels very good. A successful new beginning in financial matters connected to property, home, real estate, and inheritances as well. Now, it's not all happening in the 2 weeks after the moon, but some of it may, and the rest will unfold over the 6 months. What about bringing that form and structure? Saturn in your 11th house of good spirit, form and structure to matters to do with your dreams, hopes, goals, and wishes. Like, what are you wanting in your life? Saturn has been saying to you since 2023 in your 11th house of career gains, great gains. What do you want to make real, Neptune, that you dream to be real in your career space? And a lot of Tauruses are also looking at how can I find more realistic and enduring friendships and benefactors that really are true, like the real friend, not the lying friend, the true friend. This is a story with Neptune you've been working with since 2011. You attracted some people who are liars, manipulators, mentally ill, maybe lushes or something. You're trying to find sober-minded, realistic, lasting, enduring allies, benefactors, and friends. And this is a story that could bring that to your story, because this is a moon that says it is going to engage Saturn as a ballast for the opposition here of these energies. I can say that you might be finding yourself in a kind of Mercury opposite Jupiter square Saturn at the time of the moon. Can you rectify mistakes you've made in the past to do with alliances with people who said they'd help you or would be your best friend, but didn't, somehow betrayed you and let you down? Some of that friendship stuff is going to be big for you in the wake of this moon, and around the time of the moon, especially around the time of November the 30th. Jupiter always brings bounty. He brings prosperity and wealth. He's going to bring it to you if he can in the wake of this lunation, because this Jupiter is really tied up with prosperity that connects you to the middle of August. Go back and look. That's what could be rolling forward in the weeks or months that follow. And let's face it, we know you're heading down the pipeline for Mars opposite Pluto, January 3rd, and again in the end of April on the axis of houses 4 and 10. Well, that gives you determination, strength, and willpower to accomplish unstoppably anything you're obsessively going to achieve in your career. Remember that you have to balance that out. It could come at a cost. And I bring that up only because this energy with Mars here, not exactly opposite Pluto, but on January 3rd and April 27th, yes, watch for big explosions in your home life because you are so attentive to the big picture of your reputation and career status. You may have people exit your home, I'm getting out of here. I can't live with you anymore. And some of you have people exit your home for good reason, like kids going off to school. But other people, you might have people exiting your home because you've had a power struggle with them over your agenda and their agenda, because you are really focused on career success, reputation success, and financial success, and maybe not your domestic private life as a priority. All right, that's something you'll notice emerging or not as you approach January 3rd. Pay attention. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. I'd like this storyline if you are looking for a new relationship. If you're a single Gemini and relationship is something you're wanting, a committed long-term love, there's nothing better than a new moon connected to Eros, the god of passion, and of course, the muse of inspiration. And you could find yourself with a new moon on a golden hair opportunity goddess in the Sabian symbol, and Mercury, messaging, communicating, emailing, and phone calling, and getting rid of some negative patterns you've had in the past, Huya, to do with love and relationships. you might find yourself in a beautiful new start. A fresh beginning could show up for you. And if there is a fresh beginning in love and relationships, it's quite possible that the Mars trine means you meet this person through journeying and traveling, emails and texts and online dating as well, or maybe in an educational setting of some sort. And, this is for the singletons, because if you're not single, Geminis, and you're not looking for love and you've got your partner with you, this can improve the relationship. There can be a fresh start or a new beginning with Eros and the passion and the excitement of love and romance with a new relationship, with an existing relationship partner. Certainly, if you are looking for a deepening of that relationship, it can't hurt to notice the moon is in a sextile to the South Node in your fifth house of romantic love. South Node can bring a spiritual depth to an existing love story. The time of this moon involves this Mercury opposition, like in the same place of the moon to Jupiter, and then, of course, squaring Saturn. In essence, go back to August, maybe around the 15th. What were you doing when it came to your body, your health, your approach to life? I feel lucky, oh so lucky. I'm magnanimous, I'm leaderful, I'm on the top of my mountain. How did you feel that way or not in the month of August? And now something happens on this new moon with Mercury co-present that asks you to go back to look at that timeline again, because what you're trying to do is stabilize your long-term career gains, your authority and mastery in an area of career and reputation, and bring it into positive dream come true form. Saturn is the tortoise, not the hare in the race. Saturn wins incrementally with endurance, persistence, discipline, focus, step by step, one step at a time, all that stuff, And you can't do it overnight, not with Saturn. Everything takes the slow way. I have a progressed Gemini sun. Progressed planets are not as important as your natal, but my channel is growing on YouTube, but it is slow and steady wins a race. It's not one of those channels that was overnight success story. I've been doing it since 2019. So this story is dreams come true. In the 2 weeks after this lunation, look for some new developments. How are you maybe going to partner with someone in business or love over here? Find a new audience or marketplace for what you're sharing from your 10th house that likes what you're doing a lot better than the regular audience or marketplace. Looking for Jupiter here to give you wisdom and knowledge and gnosis, just knowing, inner knowing about what it is that you want to do in order to create an abundant but stable and dream come true career energy in your life. The energy of this Jupiter retrograde, right, turning around February 4th, even though he's embedded in this lunation by the T-square opposition, you can say that he's not ready to fully roll out the red carpet around this new prosperity, bounty, blessings, career, partners with others until maybe after February 4th. So be patient with it. But he's baking into the moon itself a story, right? And he really has your best interests at heart. Jupiter is Santa Claus, fairy godfather. When he goes back and, on October 9th to February 4th, and he's trolling backwards, right, to sort of deepen your bounty. I have a video about this. He's deepening your bounty in anything that you wish to acquire, attain, or dream into being, whether it's your love relationship, your entrepreneurial business, your creativity, your career success, your career gains, your finances, all of it. So all of it. So let him go backwards, let him roll backwards, and let this moon on the golden hair goddess of opportunity with the worldly success star Antares with passion Eros either deliver to your doorstep a rejuvenated new relationship, that one you have gets better, a new one that you're really excited about because you don't have one or you want another one, and or a really big new energy around your marketplace, audience, and client outreach, where you're going to hatch something new, but very successful in the future, in the 6 months that follows this particular moon on November 30th. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. The first thing I have to say here is that you're going to experience a new beginning with a golden hair goddess of opportunity in your sixth house of work and health matters. Now, work house here is like the job, my colleagues, my coworkers, my employees, the daily routines, my office space, new beginnings, fresh starts, golden haired opportunity, Eros, passion, Mercury, emails, phone calls, and text messages, the whole gamut. Antares, the star for worldly success and prosperity. Well, there's a new beginning there. And this new beginning loves up Mars ambitiously moving at this point, almost stationary, in your second house. He will be retrograding on December 6th, pulling back into your zone of influence until February 23rd. He goes direct. And then all systems go. And by the time we get to April 18th, he's back in your second house of money. The feeling I have is that Mars is saying decisions and actions you take because of this new moon, it could be in the 2 weeks that follow this new moon, November 30th, add a couple of weeks, have you going back to the past, to things that you were up to when Mars was traveling through Cancer originally, September the 4th through to November the 4th. What were you doing September the 4th, particularly October 6th onwards? What were you doing October the 6th to November the 4th in matters to do with decisions you needed or wanted to make in your life or actions you wanted to take? Because basically Mars is heading back from the money house to the house of you and what you want to end, cut, sever, or do or decide. And it's really about the money. Ultimately, it's about how your finances are going to be benefiting from this moon. So this moon says work, career, and earnings are the major focus. The flow to Chiron North Node in the 10th house of career and to Mars in the second house of the money you save and earn is indicating that there's a lot about a fresh start coming your way with work, career, money. We have a T-square and we can't ignore it because it's pretty closely embedded into the moon. And that can tell us a few things. So first of all, this actual Mercury opposite Jupiter square here, this story, is simply like this, something like this. What are the stories you've got going to do with legal matters, far off foreign lands and shores, book publishing that you want to bring form and structure to in a dream come true way or in alignment with your truer calling in life, Saturn in the 9th house. And it's also having to deal with the idea that you have to work, you have to make money, and you have to entertain Jupiter in your 12th house. So Jupiter in the 12th house can be money that you get from far off foreign shores, borderless income and revenue. And that's a part of your life. That's a part of your life, right? A lot of people make money online these days, for example, or work for foreign companies or international firms, or work in another country than the one they're born in. And if that's true, you might be wanting to make some changes there, and you might be making some decisions around that in terms of money and earnings narratives. Maybe that's not your true path. I think Jupiter here is really good for getting rid of addictions and self-undoing, and any way you sabotage your own success in your work, money, and career stories. And I think Saturn says something like this: bring some stable form and structure to something that could look like going back to school. I mean, a good chunk of you Cancers may, if you don't get a book published out of this, which you could go back to school, could be investigating, taking some time to get some higher learning of some kind, or go to school for the first time. And that would even be yes, because that will stabilize your job, career, and work and money story by adding a new skill, perhaps, And it's good for changing your diet style. I forgot to mention, Mars is like the eliminator in the food, in what you put in your mouth, and your health goes with a new beginning in the 6th house. So yeah, a glorious new beginning in a new health style based on what you eliminate from your food that's going to benefit your physical wellness and remove yourself from illness over the course of the next 2 weeks and up to 6 months after the moon. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Okay, Leo, fire to fire, right? Fire to fire. It's a fire trine. You are experiencing this as you, Leo, with Mars still direct, barely, and Volcano. Are you explosive lately? Watch out. Flowing to this moon. And you can be making decisions and taking actions, although on December 6th, you may retrograde it back. And between December the 6th and January 6th, while Mars is retrograding in your sign, you may think, I want to think about my decisions and actions a bit more, reverse course on some decisions and actions I've already taken. That's a possibility. But the moon is saying new beginning, lucky, golden haired goddess of opportunity, luck, reward. in a luck house, the house of good fortune, with passion, Eros, Antares, worldly success. Mercury news. This can be about romantic love. If you're a single Leo, this could be the beginning of a new love story that wants to emerge 2 weeks after or up to 6 months after the moon. And certainly with Pluto in your seventh house, it would be a transformative new love relationship, and also might end another relationship that you no longer want because you want something better. You might also see your children benefiting, new beginnings in the lives of your children, some kind of positive golden haired opportunity they come into. Maybe some of them could travel to another place far off foreign shore, flowing to the North Node, or some of your kids are just going off to school somewhere 2 weeks after, 6 months after the moon, anytime. Yeah. I think that the energy here of inception is important. This is a conception, inception, fertility, fifth house. This is a new beginning, but it's also connected to that muse, astronomy, poetry, dance, song. That when I was in poetry, dance, song, and music. This is a place where your inner excitement for creative projects gets fired up. You may also find yourself deeply, passionately, erotically, romantically, passionately, erotically, romantically smitten. Oh, because Eros, Cupid's arrow, is sitting right there in the house of romantic love. So single ones, especially, I hopefully not married, smitten and passionately smitten by some other person, someone coming into your life could show up for you. And if you're an entrepreneur or you're an artist, these are great for new beginnings, or super auspicious for art projects and entrepreneurial business endeavors. What about the T-square? First of all, Jupiter is opposite Mercury at the time of the moon, and then they're all squaring off with Saturn. You need to bring some form and structure to your finances, most likely. That's your shared money with a spouse, that's your inheritance monies, that's your investment monies, that's your retirement monies, that's your royalty incomes. Get more form, more structure, more discipline, get a financial planner, advisor, maybe, make your dreams come true in your long-range finances, but also get real. At the same time, you're getting real about money that connects to children. Saturn is like, hey, I'm really serious, guys. If there's new beginnings with children and money, it may be like, something to do with your one of your kids and financial matters that's coming off the moon. Justice is Jupiter, wanting to make it legal, wanting to make it maybe signing a document to lend your kid money, or they're going to repay money on a payment plan. Or maybe there's something here to do with an elder sibling, one older than you. That's your Jupiter 11th house, or an ally or benefactor, someone who wishes to support you or help you. Go back to August, because that was when this Jupiter was very active in the benefactors and allies and great gains of your career house. And whatever was going in August, this kind of person, Jupiter in your 11th, which can expand your finances here, is looking at how the structures need to work. That's taxes, that's taxing, accounting systems, that's budgets, not budgets, but financing, mortgages, and paperwork around it, maybe, because Saturn is like the guy who wants to give it structure, monies with structure. And you can also see that you have this, why is Saturn engaging with this a robust Mercury moon energy in the fifth house? It's a house of good fortune, and it brings wins as well, financial wins for gaming and stuff. So you could say that somebody wants to benefit you, to prosper and to stabilize your long-range finances. And the only thing about the tension is that you have to deal with Mercury maybe being a little bit under the weather in Sagittarius, and he's full of go big or go home. We may not have the details. Look at the details you need someone to look at it. If you get a golden financial opportunity coming through entrepreneurial, creative projects, romance, or children, if romance is financial, let me know. Then you need to have a more detailed eye on it. Jupiter mutual reception means that they're in each other's house. Jupiter can give you information or news from an elder sibling that benefits you, or an ally, a benefactor. Mercury can act like Jupiter, and you feel like you won the lottery in the 2 weeks that follows this new moon. Okay. You may receive inheritance money from an elder passing, and it means like a grandparent, okay? And that would be the same alignment here as well. When 2 weeks after, maybe 6 months after the moon. Mercury, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. You're ruled by Mercury. He's pretty well embedded into this moon, so we'll get going on that. We have a new beginning in the house of home. So listen, Virgo, it's a fresh new start. It's a seed of the new. It's on November the 30th, up to 2 weeks after and 6 months after, maybe a new home. Now you have one here every year. It's not going to be a new home every year, but this has got this kind of prosperity, Antares, good energy down here, Jupiter, Mars energy, Jupiter, expansive new home, moving your home, Urania, inspiration, dance, song, music, astronomy, astrology, but you feel inspired by the muse, perhaps. And you're going to get out of some negative habits and patterns, the way you've been, undoing yourself, perhaps, with a Mercury asteroid combination. In this new beginning in the fourth house, for some of you, you may have an inheritance as well. Just because the North Node is in the house of chunky money from other people, and this is a new beginning in the house of the family of origin, and it's possible that some of you may get some kind of money from a family of origin member. Jupiter is in the house of the father figures, maybe from a father figure. Who knows? But there could be some money coming your way. And also, new beginnings. So what kind of new fresh starts are you wanting to make that you're highly passionate about? You got life force around. Are you decorating a home? Are you moving your home? Are you changing your home? What are you doing that's giving you a huge amount of excitement and passion in the home, from the home, about the home, and where you live, and land, property, and real estate as well? Acquisition of property and land and real estate can come off of this new beginning as well. Mercury is commerce, right? So buying and selling. So buying and selling of real estate. Be careful. He's not in the fine-tuned details. He's in a reception to Jupiter, meaning he'll act more like Jupiter. He'll try to be Jupiterian in some way, a big, bold, new golden-haired opportunity for a new home. But Jupiter at the top of the sky is trying to help you work in your career successfully and your reputation. This is a wedding transit. Some of you may, by next June, get married or engaged. But also, you may also be looking at this storyline of, I want to succeed in my career. I want to be totally on my game. I want to be at the top of my sky. I want the boss to love me. I want to succeed. Whatever the thing in the world you're doing that people watch you do. I don't care if it's your retired golf score, or your student, you're trying to get great grades. What are you doing that people are going to say, hey, look at you go? That's your 10th house. Reputation, social stature, advancement, achievement, success, career. And Jupiter wants you to do really well up here. He's trying to help. He's like at the OK Corral, high noon, I got this. I'm going to make you successful. But you might also notice that this is at a cost of your relationship. This is a square to your significant other. They may be having a hard time with what you're doing up there in the sky because there's not enough time for them. You're working too hard. You're busy. You're focused on your reputation. Maybe it's also about your partner being melancholic, heavy, sad, or burdened. Saturn. Now, Saturn's going direct. Thank God, November 15th, he was retrograde. And you're being tested. All of you Virgos are being tested. Is this the relationship for you? If you don't have one, you might meet someone 7 years younger and older by the time we get to February of 2026, when Saturn fully leaves. So the testing is on. Is there a crack in the engine block of your relationship, or is it safe to go and build on it? And that's one of the testings that is the hardest in a life. It happens 2 to 3 times in a lifetime. And often we're not at the age that we get it, like a marriageable age, so to speak, that we're really worried about it more than twice in every lifetime. So there's a lot of intensity in the long-term committed love. Saturn will bridge the gap. You can get married, you can move in together, you can be more connected, but you can also fracture. So it's a testing time. So watch out for this new moon in terms of the testing time, because even though a new fresh start is happening in the house of the home, it does square Saturn in the house of your significant relationship and oppose Jupiter in your career success. So you're going to have to find the balance point between home, career, and relationship in the 2 weeks to follow the moon and the 6 months that follow this moon. My daughter's a Virgo rising, and she's moving into her new home on December 1st with her partner, and she's succeeding in her career. What are you doing, Virgo? What's going on in the sky? Mars is helping you quit anything you need to quit from your family of origin, by the way. Mars in the house of addictions, cut, seven, and ender, explosive cutting and severing and ending, flowing too. In the 4th house of the family of origin, I don't care what the addictions are in your family. They can be anything. Maybe you're as addicted to chocolate cake, but you can break something here. This could be the real closure on some pattern of self-harm caused by addictive substances or bad habits and patterns coming off this moon. All right, I think I'm going to need some chocolate, but I'm going to try to keep going because keeping on is my motto. Keeping on, keeping on. How am I doing here? Half an hour into the all signs. Okay, let's roll. Let's see if I can finish in the next half hour. So Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign, the sky shows us that you have you have a Jupiter ruled moon in your third house. New beginnings on Antares, a fixed star. It's all about worldly success, prosperity, rewards for hard work, maybe. It's in your third house of communicating, writing, traveling, marketing, and selling, online world, siblings, and neighborhoods and neighbors. There's a lot of new beginnings here. Are you going to move to a new neighborhood? Are you having some development with a younger sibling in particular, one younger than you? That's very positive. Are you looking for love? If you're a Libra who's alone, look for love no further than your local neighborhood, online dating, and educational and travel venues. New beginnings with Eros, love god, Cupid's arrow striking in your third house, flowing to you as well in this way. So Libra's looking for love could find new love in those areas of third house matters, your neighborhood, your everyday world, or on your online dating app. I think that this is a new moon that's also saying a lot about Mars wanting to support it. Mars is literally saying, I've got some backup here in your 11th house of good spirit for greater career gains through marketing, selling, communicating, writing, blogging, social media, online world, traveling, and the gains of your career increasing explosively, perhaps. Volcano. So career gains, meaning that raises, promotions, more money from your career, that kind of thing. On the increase 2 weeks after and up to 6 months after this moon. Mars is the god of change, changes in circumstances to do with your friends and allies and benefactors and the people you hang out with, but also benefiting this new beginning in the third house, new neighbors, new neighborhood, something simple, you move and you're away from your regular crew and now you're hanging out with new friends, severing, ending some of the old friends you hung out with. I think that the energy of, Mercury opposite Jupiter, right, with the moon square Saturn, it looks a little bit to me like there is some kind of work you're doing, hard work, you're grinding, you're really working hard. I mean, you're in Saturn's in a square to the moon. You're working your ass off. What are you doing? What are you up to? That it's such hard work. Are you working like 9 to 5, but it's really 9 to midnight? Are you like burning the midnight oil? Are you toiling at something in the work area of your life? Is your boss a real biatch or something? Or the guy? Is it like you are feeling burden in work? Or is it health matters where Saturn is sitting? Are you feeling overwhelmed with the health stories that you have to deal with? I kind of feel like, there's just something hard here. Or is there a pet, an old pet that's bothering you? Maybe you're worried about your elder pet's health. But whatever Saturn's up to here, I mean, he's not good for your health if you overdo it. And he's also not good for your work if you work this hard, because there's no work-life balance. And Saturn's a grinder in the 6th house. So be careful for that, because there's a turning point energy embedded in this new moon. New beginnings that can be prosperous and lucky and golden opportunities. But squaring Saturn, watch out for the form and cost of it. You don't want to be in the kind of indentured servitude in your work. You want to enjoy it, right? And you might not be enjoying it. And the square to Jupiter could be legal fractures. I mean, Jupiter is in the house of human resources, the house of contracts legally binding. Mercury is the one, look at the details. We don't see them. I can see some of you wanting to exit from a career path or job and change it in the wake of the moon, the 2 weeks that follow, and up to the 6 months that follow. Maybe there is an explosive new opportunity through an ally or benefactor for something new in your career. And it involves getting out from underneath what feels like a burdensome job or a burdensome career obligation, like the work itself is a burden for you. So keep that part in mind. Some of you might want to get a book publishing deal for sure. This is auspicious if you're publishing anything, because this is the writing house with fresh new beginnings and prosperity. Mercury's a motivational writer. This is Jupiter, the publishing industry, retrograde. But still, what were you doing in August? Well, August, go back to mid-August. What were you doing with publishing, writing, traveling, communicating? And how can this be fortified by structure and discipline? Well, but also golden new breakthroughs. I think somebody in your life may be an ally here. It could be a sibling, one older, could be a friend, but somebody wants to, break through the tension here and step up and help you. Get the book publishing deal, get the pilgrimage travel thing, get the human resources conversation you need to go forward. Jupiter's in an educational house, and this is also an educational house. You need to travel or learn something. Maybe an inception of a time of greater travel or greater learning in the 2 weeks of follow the moon and the 6 months. And it can be for professional learning. You see, Jupiter's here till next June. And on June 9th, he steps here, and you could take the learning into your profession, right? Or the book into your profession. You wrote a book and now you got a platform on it. Who knows? This can bring opportunity, Jupiter, in work from foreign countries, foreign places, and foreign lands. And there may be some work environments that require a visa or travel or relocation or connections to foreign countries for some of you Libras in the 2 weeks and up to 6 months that follow this moon. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. Number one, pay attention to a new beginning in your finances. This is great. There's a auspicious Antares, Archangel Uriel, prosperity and financial reward moon going on as a fresh start here. So a lot of Scorpios will have a new beginning in the money, earnings, and possessions part of their sky, passionate, Eros about it. You're passionate, you're excited. You could also start a new dietary style off of this as well. I think you're going to be inspired and muse driven, especially given that this whole new moon energy is supported by Mars in the top of the house of the career, top of the sky in the house of the career. So obviously changes are coming, explosive and surprising in your career. Mars is going to retrograde back into the 9th house, like human resources or whatever, and then come headhunters and then come forward again. So I'd say in general, a lot of Scorpios experience this moon bringing them a career change. All right, or a job change. But it's auspicious, it's prosperous, it's exciting, and you're passionate about it. Now, with Jupiter in your 8th house, this is an inheritance transit, and it can bring you money from your family of origin, especially with Pluto now in your 4th house. And that's true through till next June, but this moon activates the Jupiter in the inheritance house. And so some of you will get an inheritance or chunky money off of it. Not all of you. Listen to my intro, general bell curve astrology, not a personal chart reading. But with Jupiter opposing it and Mercury in mutual reception, there may be some glitches in the fine details regarding family of origin money, some kind of real need to get down with lawyers or people who can look at the structures of this stuff, because there may be some glitches. Mercury is all full of his Jupiterian enthusiasm in Jupiter's house and vice versa. Jupiter says, hey, I'm in the 8th house and I'm bringing you bounty, but I don't have any details. And Mercury says, I'm in the 2nd house of earnings and I don't have any excitement and big vision. I just have the details. Something needs to be balanced out here. Bank loans, mortgages, refinancing, Jupiter in the 8th house, Pluto in the 4th, the moon in the 2nd. Do you wish to possess a new home? Do you wish to sell a home? If any of that's happening, this is a moon that brings something new and good and auspicious to buying, selling real estate and property, or moving, even if it's a rental. So Jupiter is in a square to Saturn. This is the house of entrepreneurship, creativity, and children. Jupiter is saying, well, you might be inspired, muse-driven, and there might be new financial opportunity and career change. It might be at the cost of something that you're working on, an entrepreneurial side hustle, at the cost of some creative projects you've been driving to complete. And Jupiter is really busy more with the money matters. Yet, Jupiter can liberate you from hardship here. And if you've been really grinding with your creativity, your art projects, your entrepreneurial business, had burdensome difficulties with children or getting pregnant or something, I don't know. It feels to me like Jupiter is Jupiter. He's opportunity. What were you doing in August 15th to do with themes of money, chunky money, shared resource with a partner, entrepreneurship, creative projects, and financial resources and possessions? Those themes are back again from August, mostly mid-August, but August of 2024, and maybe playing out in a couple of weeks after this moon. This could be a business loan for an entrepreneurial business, really. Jupiter in the 8th, Saturn in the 5th, right? Someone funding your creative projects, your ideas, that kind of story. All right, moving on. And the moon might be helping get rid of this chironic wound in the house of work. Since 2019, some of you Scorpios felt like my jab is really wounding me. And you really haven't been in a place of goodness with jabbing. The job has felt like a wound. And the moon does flow to the chironic North Node story. And so healing a chironic wound around the job. Look to December 31st when Mercury will hit the same place in the sky he is during this moon for a real shift around the chironic wound around work and job. Because it looks like more money's coming to you. So your job opportunities are coming to you. Your career and reputation is expanding. Things are getting better in the 6 months after this moon. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. It is a fire sign. It is you. You are in the thick of it. Yes, you have a new moon here every year, but not always on Antares, the star of Archangel Uriel. Prosperity, fleeting success, and fame. Good things are showing up here. You are getting this star on your identity. If you are a Sag, sun, moon, or rising, let's give it, 3 to 12 degrees of Sag. You feel the moon most strongly. Yet at the same time, the muse is here. Urania. Is it astronomy, astrology, music, song, or dance? What is inspiring you? What is firing up your ninth muse? Where are you passionate, erotic, and in love with something or someone or some place or some situation? Where has will Cupid's arrow strike you? As a result of this. Now, Cupid's arrow is love. You could fall in love. You could fall in love off of this. Who would you fall in love with? Jupiter. Who is this? Some guy, girl, you're going to meet. Jupiter looks good on you. You're like, oh my God, this person's magnanimous, generous, wealthy, fun, wise, good, true, and noble. Sure, doesn't pay attention to the details properly, but I still like that person for you. Jupiter here can bring a lot of Sagittarius, a long-term life mate before he leaves next June of 2025, right? You might also find this energy, June 9th, I think, of 2025. You might also find this energy of your excitement of something big and fresh and new, and you unwind the problems in your mind. The rain god is there that have held you back. You might also find that you might want to travel to far off foreign lands and shores, quite a bit. That's because of Mars trining from up here in your ninth house. He's almost stationary. He's very powerful. So if you're not going to go off on foreign land visas, adventures, and fun things like that, you might be looking at lawsuits and going to battle and winning. Likely winning in court matters explosively, although you will have to dip back into the eighth house of chunky money and other people's money to win. So if there's resource battles over shared monies with a business or love partner, for example, or inheritance monies, you might be going to battle it out a little bit, Sagittarius, in the course of the 6 months that follows this new moon, but looks good on you. Mars is fiery. He's strong in Leo. Then there is a sense of why are you looking at an T-square that reminds you of August? Were you almost meeting somebody in August that you thought was your person? Were you dating somebody in August, but it wasn't? Or they're coming back from the past because Jupiter was here in this spot in the month of August, and now he has returned retrograde. Does a love interest from August return back to from the past if you're single, if you're a singleton? Or was your marriage kind of, is there something in a long-term committed love relationship? Because Jupiter retrograde is testing that relationship to February the 4th. Is there something that's coming back from the past? It's from issues you were addressing in that relationship in August that you must now readdress in order for this relationship to stay legal, right? Jupiter, married or committed or monogamous or, good and true. I think that Jupiter here, when it's square to Saturn, indicates hardship in the home. The moon is reminding you, along with Mercury, there's some hardship in your home. You're lonely at home alone, isolated at home, feeling burden in the home, maybe some burdened an elder can live with you in the home when Saturn transits here, 2023 March to 2026 February. But it just means that when you're home, you might either be loving your home because you're alone and thank God I'm alone, or you feel lonely in the home. So both are true. And this moon reminds you of that because you want to be erotically filled with life force energy, falling in love with something or someone or some situation. And you want to be inspired by the muse and all that's coming to you. It's like it's a life force, breath of life regeneration for a lot of Sages. But the Saturn thing in the home has to be addressed. Where and why is this hard? Sure, you could have a structure here. Foreman, construction crew, architect, build a home, Saturn down here, Neptune, dream home, build a dream home. I know a Sag friend of mine is building her dream home on a river. Yes, you can do that. And look at that on a river, Neptune. But also remind yourself that, Saturn isn't just form and structure. He's about the part of you that is sage-like, sure, but also sometimes melancholic and nostalgic. And this is the house of your childhood. So maybe you're having some melancholic nostalgia about being young, about your childhood, about your parents. And now Jupiter is squaring from the house of relationship. A lot of you are looking for love. And then, even if you have it, you want the one you have already to become activated by Cupid's arrow. And so look for those Cupid's arrow love stories in the next 6 months. Some of the love could come off of foreign land travel, higher education, journeys to far off places, as Mars is up here and a volcanic sudden love story erupting for you 2 weeks after the moon or up to 6 months after. Both apply. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, there's nothing like a lunation in the very quiet 12th house that can help you get rid of your own sabotaging structures, your own bad habits and addictions, the way you undo yourself, the way you fall away from your own self in a way that is not good. So this is a new beginning. And now it's a house of God. House of enlightenment, full moksha, Buddhahood, new beginnings to refresh the screen here. So if you're not quitting the wine, the vape, the cigarettes or something, the weed, you may be starting fresh because you're going to have a spiritual alignment, an activation here. Archangel Uriel with his sword is here. This is the heart of the Scorpion. What secrets might be revealed? What deep inner knowing can come from this moon? It is the heart of the Scorpion, not the tail. What is inside that heart of the Scorpion for you when it comes to your connection to divine understanding and breaking free of the illusion, the matrix, etc.? And with the asteroid of astrology and astronomy, maybe an alien will come in a dream at night. Mercury is the psychopomp, but also the dream messenger. When he's not ferrying spirits to the underworld or going around hanging out with the dead with Pluto, the guy is like, I got a dream for you. Pay attention. I mean, nocturnal. So really watch that new moon in particular on November 30th, give or take a day or two, for some deep moons, some deep, dark new moon dreaming. What is coming to you in the dream realm? Because you might have some incredible insights and breakthroughs spiritually. It's a money house if you make money from far off foreign shores and lands because you are working for a foreign company, a foreign person, a foreign entity, and you could have some new opportunities for revenue from foreign shores or foreign people coming off this new beginning. It also, you might notice, is being supported by Mars up here in your 8th house. So this is like going to be good for your chunky money, your investment money, your severance package, your sign-on bonus, your stocks, whatever. It just brings you money. It just brings you some chunky money. End of story. Yeah, a few of you might get chunky money through a very hotly contested inheritance as a result of this, particularly because Mars is involved. He's very inheritance battle ready for you. Or some contesting of shared spousal resource money for some of you off this moon as well. But nonetheless, it is a flow from Mars to the 12th house from the 8th. Not too shabby. And flowing to the 4th house of increase in the house of home. Now, Rahu down here could look like North Node, moving, expanding, changing your home, a destined, fortunate change of home, but also connections to Rahu as the foreigner, the far off place as well. So again, maybe some home changes connected to far off foreign places, shores, and people coming up for some of you Capricorns. Now, Jupiter is opposite the moon, and he is the lunation lord. He's in a reception to Mercury, and they're both squaring Saturn. T-square. Go back to August. What was going on in health, work, pets, rentals, and tenancy matters? Go back to August. That's Jupiter in your 6th house. Then at the time in this moon, there's kind of Jupiter back in the same part of the sky, but now opposite a new beginning in the 12th house. Squaring Saturn. Now, it could be limitations and frustrations around travel opportunities coming up. Watch out for that disastrous Mercury retrograde during Thanksgiving in the United States. Eek! But you could definitely look at Jupiter square Saturn as like something that wants to happen in the work story, in the money story, but some kind of constriction around travel, some kind of challenges regarding a sibling younger than you, one younger, some kind of stories coming off of this to do with educational opportunities professionally. But there's also the constriction of the square. Saturn wants to bring form and structure to whatever he can in your third house of travel, skills-based learning, neighbors and neighborhood, teaching and learning, skills-based learning, yeah, writing projects. I mean, you could travel for a work-related opportunity coming off of this moon. And you just some hardship regarding travel, but you can still do it. Okay. And Jupiter, he's like Mars. He's looking to be more of the manager of the office or the one who looks at the details in the work opportunity, but his eyes are glazed over with excitement. Mercury is trying to act like Jupiter and be give you big, bold opportunities, but he's not paying any attention to the fine print here either. So ultimately, I'd say like a career opportunity may emerge, a work opportunity may emerge, may revolves around travel, foreign people, foreign places. You definitely want to make sure that it's good, but not great. Maybe that you get some kind of extra eyes on legal contracts to do with those things, right? Jupiter, before you sign. Okay. That's what I got for you. That's the vibe. Aquarius, I am one of you. I am looking at the sky. It's on my midheaven at 9 Sag. This is the house of our great gains from our career. Raises, promotions, public influence, celebrity, accolades and rewards and awards, red carpet moments, all that good stuff. At Academy Award winners, all the 9th house goodie bags of the 10th house of work. It's the gains of the 10th house. It's second house from the 10th in zodiacal order. The gains of each house is in the house one after. So the gains of the 11th house are what we want in life. It's a part of our hopes, goals, dreams, and wishes. The gains of our 10th come through the 11th. And a new beginning with Antares, fleeting fame, wealth, prosperity, rewards is here. Archangel Uriel is here. It's a big, good new beginning. And it is a seed that's being planted. It can take 6 months to fulfill. It also sees the Urania, muse of dance and music and all of that here, the 9th muse. She's also astronomy and astrology, the 9th muse, inspiring your career gains. You could also add Eros. Are you falling in love with your work? Hopefully you're not falling in love with a coworker. Often collegiate space is in your 11th house. Also, people who are benefactors and allies, such as a sibling one older than you, or someone in your friendship circle who wants to help you, features rarely strongly in this moon. New beginnings from help of others. Mercury is a messenger, the writer, and the communicator, in the top of the sky with a microphone in his hand. He's spouting out stuff that's definitely going to be inspirational and motivational because he's in Sagittarius. But he just doesn't have the details. So be careful about what you do up here, that you find some kind of detail coverage. Don't speak generalities, speak or write specifically about things. This new moon is being supported by your significant other, legal contracts, audience and clients and marketplace, business partners, Mars in the house of that place, flowing with explosive volcanic results to your gains house. So I could say that maybe I'll do a video, like maybe it'll be my AI video I want to do on the alien story, because I think it might really trend well, because it's my experience as an experiencer. I have a lot to tell you guys about it. Maybe it'll go viral on me. That would be the kind of thing, explosive market success, inspiration, the muse of astrology and astronomy up here. That I finally want to get that done, but I need time because it's going to be a deep dive into the AI story, aliens, AI, and technology and all that. And when I get that one done, maybe I'll get it done around the moon. So I'm giving me as an example, just an example. You might find that there's a lot of flow going on here, as you can see, 11 and 7 and 3. So the moon is activating the relational houses, writing, communicating, social media, marketplace, audience, clients. It's not too shabby for a success story in your existing long-term love relationships, some kind of more inspiration. If you're traveling with your partner, that could be really good for you as well. If you already have a relationship, it's not the most obvious one for new love. I wouldn't go there with this one. The energy of this prosperous and rewarding new moon is also squaring Saturn. Where has money and making money been a grind? Where has it felt hard? Where have you been burdened? Where have you been disciplined for structured, but maybe weighted? This is Saturn through the second house from March of 2023 to February of 2026, minus an ingress next year into your next house. A lot of hard work has been done here, a lot of grinding, a lot of conserving and saving money. I hope you've been doing that, other Aquarians out there. Form and structure I incorporated to create greater resourcefulness financially. And yet this kind of new beginning that's full of erotic excitement and inspiration and the muse has to deal with Saturn in the money and savings and earnings and possessions house. Stuff must be accounted for. One must continue to pay the bills, build up the money in the bank account, continue to produce content in YouTube, continue to do this and that in order to be super solid financially. That's going to be a square to the new beginning. And Jupiter is involved in a T square. So again, if you go back to August, what were you doing in August to do with entrepreneurship, creativity, artistic endeavors, opportunities for artistic endeavors? What were you doing in your romantic life? What were you doing regarding your children in August? Because these stories are back again, you see. And it's kind of like you have to go back to things that were being percolated here in August that did connect to earnings, rewards, money, savings, possessions. It did connect to those Saturn square stories. And now you have to relook at it through the lens of some exciting, inspiring, erotically passionate new opportunity, new beginning in the career gains house. Finally, one last thing I want to mention, if you're trying to curtail your spending or curtail your eating, that's the structures of Saturn in the second house, which is fantastic, right? But Saturn isn't about restriction in the sense that it's about being a budget conscious, miser and scarcity. That's a shadow of Saturn. Saturn is about being responsible for your financial well-being. And because Saturn is squaring Jupiter in a money luck house, like I won the lottery, which still can happen with Jupiter there through till next year, it doesn't come at the expense of being a steward of what you possess, including winning money. So there's something going on in this new moon that says, how do I steward responsibly financial fortune? And the tension might be nothing more than a reality check by Saturn that you need to be a steward of your own financial good fortune and luck. That's what I got for you, fellow Aquarians. And finally, everybody always says last but not least, and I try not to, but best and always best, the amazing Pisces, the mystic poets of the zodiac who are so darn patient to wait for their sign if they're catching this live with me. You're basically, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You are basically coming into a moon that says a new beginning in your career and reputation, a fresh start filled with inspiration and passion, filled with prosperity and luck, filled with good things to do with rewards and maybe fleeting fame. This is a star Antares, Archangel Uriel. The muse is with you, music, song, and dance, astronomy, astrology, passion. Mercury says, I got a lot of stuff to talk about. I got some big ideas of here, and I don't have the details, but who cares? It's one big feel-good 10th house story. It is about the November lunation on the 30th, 2 weeks that follow, and up to 6 months after, something new is beginning. But the 10th house isn't just work, it's your public status, reputation. I'm married, I'm divorced, I'm single, I'm not single, that kind of stuff. So there could be some new beginnings that are quite exciting in your public reputation status part of the sky. Mercury does rule the house of marriage, and there may be some news announcements here. I'm getting married, I'm getting engaged, I'm moving in with someone. Those are the kinds of themes I can see for you. The energy of Mars supporting this moon here, right, 5 degrees to 10 degrees, 9 degrees, is from the house of work. And with the North Node here, money, work, and career triad, the Artha houses are activated. So quite seriously and significantly, increasing some financial wellness, healing a chironic wound that you may have been encountering since 2019, 19 about your self-worth, your value, your worthiness to have financial resources, your earnings and money possessions being wounded. That could be true for some of you. Most of you will have some experience of that since 2019. And that chironic wound being amplified by the eclipses to be salted in the wound to heal. The North Node says, increase your financial wellness, career success and new beginnings and reputation beginnings. Mars cuts, ends, and severs what? Well, it could be a quitting a job explosively for a new one. It could be being able to sever, cut, or eliminate debt, especially with the South Node here, and ending your mortgage, cutting off, filing bankruptcy, for God's sakes. Why not? Just cutting away from debt obligations. There may be endings in karmic relationships that no longer serve you, and that includes long-term love relationships for some of you. And there may be explosive, exciting new opportunities for work. If you have health challenges, and some of you might, because Mars has been here, god of accidents and injuries, Mars has been in your 6th house now. Oh my God, since November the 4th, doesn't leave till January the 6th. And so inflammation, rashes, heat in the body, injuries and accidents and challenges to your health can happen, right? That's there, especially with explosive volcano there. So, but if you have anything like that happen, and we have this new moon on November 30th, the new moon is going to be supportive of stabilizing your physical body. And the reason is that Saturn, the god of the bones, the structures, the ligaments, the body itself, like it's in the house of your body, your Piscean identity, you're sober, realistic, and sober-minded, but also maybe burdened, melancholic, and heavy. These are ways Saturn makes you feel, maybe despairing. But Saturn wants to structure form, and that includes your physical form. And what Saturn does on this moon is he talks to Jupiter and he talks to the lunation. And there's a T-square here, and it has to do with your home, your property, the people you live with, your mother, your family of origin. You can have bounty from these places. You can have wealth from these situations. Buy property, sell property, bigger house, bigger property, better property, money from mom, money from dad, money from somebody you grew up with, or bounty from them, deepening. If you go back, but supporting a stronger body, better body support here. If you go back to August, you had Jupiter in your 4th house. So back in August, Jupiter was here in the same place he is now during this moon. So what was going on in the middle of August, that you're attentive to your body, attentive to the needs of your body, attentive to matters to do with your home, property, land, and real estate. Were you buying or selling or moving? These are all possible, because now you're going to go back into the same milieu and you're going to try to do it again. You're redoing something here. Tension is here between what you want to see happen in your career and your money and your job and your work and what's going on in your home. And you're the one with the realistic outlook. You know how to make dreams come true. But Jupiter can be somebody who's bossy too. Like, I'm the top dog, I'm the king of Mount Olympus. And you might be dealing with somebody you live with. I don't care if it's a roommate or your spouse. Somebody is giving you grief about you just sort of soaring to the top of the sky and being a success story. Now, obviously, if you're single, that's not true. But if you're living with somebody, that can be the case. Finally, maybe some of you, Jupiter is your ruler, right? He is retrograde and in detriment. You might change your mind about something to do with property, home, and real estate. You've already been doing already since the summer, and you want to go back and really rethink it, maybe deepen the bounty, because you need to revise some opportunities you took in the summer that now you're not too sure are as golden as they should have been. Ultimately, however, I think you can get a new career path going off of this with more money and more excitement. For sure. Lastly, Mars is going to retrograde, back into your 5th house. That's your children, that's your excitement, eroticism, romance, etc. But he's still in your 6th house, which is through to January the 6th. This is where something wants to turn around to do with karmic debts. And people were indebted too. With the South Node in the house of the karma itself, you're definitely looking at a story where you might break away from karmic debt relationships or karmic debt situations. okay, or obligations, because on January 3rd, Mars will be opposite Pluto. I mean, exactly on an axis of karmic debt. And there may be a major breaking away from some situation, some job, some person in your life, and you're just going to sort of cut ties. So there's that too. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising, any person in your life. Alrighty, thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell for notifications and all the good stuff that helps my channel finally reach 100,000 in a tortoise in the hare way. I am now going to go at 4:04 p.m. on Saturday, November the 16th, recording this a day before it goes live. Patreon community gets it right away. I'm behind schedule because I was finishing my 2025 All Signs Bundles content that is now going to be delivered to people on Sunday, November 17th. If you're listening to this and you don't get it, it's in your spam. Or a handful of you gave me the wrong email address, and unfortunately, I don't know how to fix it. They bounced already on a test run saying that they were incorrect. Like you said Gmail, you said Gmail or something. So, you guys reach out to me, on any of my information forms on my website if you don't get this product tomorrow on this November the 17th in your spam folder or inbox. Bye, everybody. Ciao, ciao.